Well, good morning. It is Thursday, February 5th. I'm Greg Bishop, your host for the Center Square's Illinois in Focus Daily, as we give you things to think about as a taxpayer in the land of Lincoln. Had an interview yesterday with Danielle Carter Walters from Chicago Flips Red, and that's what we're going to be hearing for Illinois in Focus Daily. I want to remind you guys to be sure to check out the Center Square Daily. It's our new daily national program where we look at what's going on in Washington, D.C., but we also touch on all kinds of things from across the country from the Center Square reporters. It's a wonderful new program developing, and hopefully you can be on the ground level and share it up as we proceed forward in getting people the news they need to get on with their day. All right, so stay tuned. Danielle Carter Walters, chatted with her for a good 20 minutes yesterday, and great conversation about the genesis of her organization and, well, exactly what their plans are for the 2026 election. So that's coming up here with Illinois in Focus Daily. We're talking with Danielle Carter Walters from Chicago Flips Red. Danny, thanks for taking time with us today. You guys obviously making a lot of headlines regularly when it comes to your support for President Donald Trump, but also your criticism of Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. Before we talk about this year's elections and some of the politics here, if you could just tell us what was your genesis in all of this?
Well, my genesis was my husband, as I keep repeating, he's a retired CPD officer. He retired under Brandon Johnson because he saw how bad the administration with Lori Lightfoot and Brandon was. So he retired. And then when we saw how bad it was just for us residents, real citizens, real Americans, real Chicagoans, to get business loans, to get grants, to receive the things that they're allowing illegal aliens and foreigners to get, then that really made me say, okay, let me really start looking into policies and looking into what's going on. And when that happened, I met with Zoe, as you know, I met with Zoe and Miss Jessica, and they had separate issues about them taking their property. So when you start looking at policies and going down and looking at how they're allocating funds and how they're laundering your money, and the money that supposed to go to your community had never made it there, you start understanding why. So when that happened, that's what catapulted Chicago Flips Red and us becoming an organization.
And it's not just an organization, it's got the attention of President Donald Trump, regularly mentioning beautiful black women in Chicago who love Trump. What was it about his policies that made you guys say, hey, you know what, we're going to publicly speak out in support of the president in all places, the Chicago City Council?
Well, we knew that we could not allow. We saw how the illegal aliens, the 22 million that they allowed to come over the border unvetted, we saw how that destroyed Chicago, because 70,000, they say 50,000, but you can't trust the Democratic Party. But we know a lot of them came to Chicago, and we saw how they pushed the regular citizens aside. We saw how they gave up all our resources to illegal aliens. We were there fighting when they were trying to give the schools up, to give the functional field houses up to illegal aliens, and they did. My husband was still working at CPD when they allowed them all in the police stations, when they were sleeping on the floor, when you had the bed bug that broke out, the big but problem that broke out in the police stations. So he was still there. So we understood that if we allowed Kamala to get in, then it was going to be over for Chicago, for America. So we love President Trump policies because he campaigned on closing the border and implementing the biggest mass deportation in history. He campaigned on putting Americans first. We've had him in the first term. We saw how economically we were doing good in America. We saw how the gas prices, when it came down to owning homes, and his plan for cutting the red tape and things like that. We saw how that impact us, and we loved his policies. So when he decided to run again, then of course we were definitely for his policies, because I try to tell people you have to educate yourself on policies, not emotions. When you look at the policies, the Democratic policies are no good for anybody who's an American. Right now, what policies do they have that's going to better your life as an American? They don't. Yeah, everything about his policies we love. Like I said, down to the closed borders, down to bringing the American businesses back to America, making sure Americans have jobs, making sure that the social safety net, that we get all of these illegal aliens off of it, because we know, especially in these blue cities and states, that they're taking advantage of all the fraud, waste that we are spending on illegal aliens, Medicaid, because they are getting free health care. They're getting SNAP. They're getting free. Their rent paid, mortgages. Their rent paid, their schooling paid, everything. So yeah, we love his policies. He's for America. America first.
Danielle,
Americans first.
what kind of feedback are you getting from those in the community who may have supported Democrats in the past? Do you see them kind of opening their eyes, or is there a lot of resistance to a fresh voice coming onto the scene saying, "Hey, the Democrats are getting it wrong"?
Well, at first we were getting a lot of pushback because of course we know that 90 to 95% Black Americans, we vote Democrat, but we've been doing this for 50 years or more. So we've been voting blue no matter who for all of these years, 90 to 95%. So it was very hard to get the Black community to understand how devastating the Democratic policies are, especially to our communities. So we were getting a lot of pushback at first, and you have the help of the fake news media, which is enemy to real Americans. They did a lot of brainwashing and things like that. So it was very hard at first. But when you start showing proof, when you start showing the receipts, when you start showing things that they can't say is a lie. So when fake news wasn't showing things, we would show, like the in Hyde Park on 49th in Hyde Park, Lakeshore Drive, where they had the shelter, where, the Hyde Park citizens, residents were complaining. And of course, fake news wasn't talking about that. They wouldn't even let them come and take their story. They wasn't taking their story. So we had to go to that shelter that was placed right across the street from the Newport condominiums. We had to go and show everything that was happening at that shelter. We showed that they were getting free car service. They had cars. We showed all the resources that they were getting. And we had the residents to come out, and we showed the residents talking. So now that gave the citizens a chance to see real people that's in their communities telling what their experiences are and what's going on. So it was very hard to negate the fake news at first, but more and more people were starting to message us and email us saying, hey, you know what? This is what's happening in my community. I need help. Can you all come and help me with the illegal aliens that's in my building selling drugs, prostitution? So we had started getting a lot of people who were emailing us, and then that made us encourage us more to keep, going. And after that, here we are.
Getting mentions by President Donald Trump, of all things. Danielle Carter Walters with us from Chicago Flips Red. So let's kind of look into the future here, right? I mean, we're in an election year, midterm elections in November. We've got primaries in March. Actually, Thursday is the first day you can go to the county office and vote in that March primary across the state. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But what's Chicago Flips Red's role, I guess, to ask in the primary election, let alone the November election? What do you guys anticipate you'll be doing?
Well, we'll be going and educating the citizens. We are going knocking door to door. We're planning on having town hall meetings in 50 wards, all the 50 wards, and just letting the people know what their aldermen voted for, what their mayor voted for, what the governor voted for. Just educating the people. See, the problem is in our community, we were never politically educated, and we wasn't taught to be politically educated. We were just taught to vote blue no matter who, just like you see right now in the schools where these kids are now being indoctrinated to talk about hating ICE. So this is what we have to combat that. So we're going to make sure we educate the people. So we have to go hold town hall meetings, which we are in the process of doing that, and just educating the constituents on why your property bill is so high, why that you don't have with potholes, and why your community is not being up. It's not that they don't have the money, it's just that the money don't never make it to your community, and this is why. Just showing proof of what we're talking about, because we know the issues that we have because we stay in the community, but we know that the information is not the right information. It's not getting to the people. So we have to make it our business to educate the people that's in the community to understand what's happening. So we're going to have town halls in all 50 wards. We're going to be registering people to vote, because we're going to we're going to make sure we're registering them, educating them, and then we're going to have the Republican candidates who's running in place, because we want them to also be able to question and talk to the Republican candidates about what their policies are and what their plans are. And what they're going to do to help out the community and what's going on with the problems that the community has. So they'll be able to talk to them personally. So we're setting those things up to make sure the word get out on the ground, because we see how the Democrats right now, what they're doing. They're going to the senior citizens, making sure they give them the coffee, the old trick, the coffee, feed them, lie to them, give them dances, and then get their votes and forget about them. So we have to go and do the same thing they're doing, and we are doing it.
When it comes to the November general election, has there been any of the Republican primary gubernatorial candidates approach you guys?
Yes, we interviewed James Mendrick. We interviewed Aaron Delmar and Darren Bailey. And we talked with Ted. We talked with him. We haven't interviewed them yet on Zoli channel. So we've talked to all of them, except for what's his name? What's his name?
Rick Heidner.
Yeah, Heitner. We haven't talked to him, but the rest of the three we talked to, and we're just, seeing what the policies are and just talking with them because we have to make sure if in Chicago, if we're leading the people, because we haven't had this, a red wave in Chicago since 1931. And we see in Illinois, Chicago and Cook County is basically keeping Illinois from turning red. So we have to make sure that when we talk to people in Chicago, when we lead the citizens off from the Democratic plantations, what we call them, we have to lead them and make sure the people that we are leading them to are good people as well. The policies that's going to benefit them, that they're going to not be overlooked once they get in the government. So we have to make sure we pick the right person to get behind. So we're vetting them. And if we feel like, hey, we just can't get behind anybody right now during the primaries, then we're going to do that. But yeah, we take our endorsement, we take what we give to our constituents and the people of Chicago, we take that very seriously because they are looking up to us to make sure we get people in office that's going to make sure Chicagoans get what they need, because we have been neglected for so long and told lies to just get people in office.
Danielle, you've been very critical of Democrats. What is some criticisms you have of Republicans, especially in Chicago? Have they done enough to, get seen in Chicago? Have they done enough to reach out to voters in Chicago? What kinds of things do you think that whoever gets the Republican nomination for governor should do in Chicago and the suburbs?
Well, the problem is the Republican Party, they don't get into the community. And we see the Democrats do, and they lie, but they get into the community. So they don't, the Republican Party need to get into community, and they need to get behind people who, because you got Kristen Maxwell, you have people like her, she's running against Jonathan Jackson. He's terrible. Why they haven't gotten her? So they don't get behind candidates that's willing to do the work in Illinois, Cook County. Those are the people they need to get behind, but they don't. Dave Dewar, they don't get behind them, so they need to do that. And we have it about the Republican Party. It's too much infighting. They inside fighting, and you can't do that. We're already in Chicago. People are already saying, nope, I can't vote red. Nope, I can't do it. I can't do it. When you see that the fighting within the inside and they're talking about each other, telling what each other did or downing each other, that just makes it look really bad. They saying, okay, yeah, I definitely can't vote for nobody a Republican. So it looks bad. So first of all, you don't get in community, and you don't back the people that's willing to get in the community, the candidates like us. Anybody who's running for any type of seat and they need Chicago and Cook County, it's no way they should not be coming to Chicago Flips Red to talk to us and to get with us. It's no way. But, it's just like, that's why we haven't won anything in Chicago. That's why, because it's just I don't know why. I guess they're complicit in making sure long as they get what they need, I guess, and just their only thing the excuse they want to say, well, Chicago will never flip red. All they want to do is vote blue. So they're lost cause. I don't know. But we don't care. We're not waiting for any Republican, GOP, Chicago GOP, Illinois GOP to come save us in Chicago. We're going to do the work. Chicago Flips Red. We're going to do the work. We're not waiting on anybody. So they can either get with us or they don't have to. But we're going to keep moving. We're going to make sure that the people in Chicago and Illinois and everywhere trust Chicago Flips Red to know we have their best interests at heart. And that's it. And if don't nobody want to get behind us, or they don't feel like they should, we don't really care. We want to keep moving.
Danielle Carter Walters, Chicago Flips Red, finally here. Your profile has been elevated substantially. You've testified in front of Congress. As we mentioned, the president's mentioned your group. What is your political future? Do you plan to seek office?
Well, I plan on if, you know, at first, when you have plans for yourself, you can never tell me that this is what I would pick for myself. In my mind, I would, we would have a building, me and my husband would be training, and that's what my plan was for my life. When I told God, whatever he tell me to do, whatever he want me to do, I'll do it. I meant that. And that's why I didn't care when I said, you know what? The Democratic Party is evil. I'm not going with Kamala. All of those things. I'm with Trump. The policies is what I believe as a Christian. So when I did that, my business hurt because most of my business, I train Black women. So that my business took a real, it was tough. Financially, it took a loss. But I told God whatever it was he needed me to do, I can lose everything, but I would stand up for what's right. And whatever he tell me to do or lead me to do, no matter how fearful I am and what, how I feel about myself, if that's what he want me to do, I'm willing to do it. It's yes. So if that's the calling he had for me, then I'm willing to do whatever it takes to save Chicago, because I know Chicago. They called me down to testify twice. And of course, it was like, oh my God, I did. But right now and prior, I'm not planning in. It's like Chicago Flips Red is being guided. So God is just guiding us, and we are just right here saying, hey, yes, we are just every day. I say, God, what do you need me to do? What do you want me to do? You prepare the path, and I'm just going to walk on it.
Daniel, well, I appreciate your time, and it's been exciting seeing your organization evolve over these many, many months, and the types of attention it's getting. And we'll be hopefully talking throughout the election to see how your efforts are playing out.
Okay, can I say something too?
Absolutely.
Yes, and I want to thank President Trump too as well, because before he was elected, he did send us love notes with our, pictures of us down in City Hall and telling us thank you for being courageous and speaking out. So he did do that before the election. So I just want to tell our president that we love you and thank you so much for being the greatest president ever.
Well, I got to ask, though, I mean, you mentioned your husband a couple of times, a former Chicago cop. What are his thoughts about the president sending his wife love notes?
At first, he was like, oh, my God, when he saw it, because it was mailed to the house and he received the mail. And he said, wait a minute, this is for the president. It said from Mar-a-Lago, I believe, because he wasn't president at that time. But he was just like, wow, he gave it to me. When I opened it, it was crazy because it was our picture at the City Hall. And he, told us thank you. But my husband, he understand that this don't make sense. And he knew just from the inside with the crime and things, he knew. He said, baby, this before everything. He said, if we don't change it, we're not going to have a city, or, it's lawlessness is going to take over if we don't fight right now. And that's what he told me when he decided that when we made that choice for him to retire, because it was getting so bad. So yeah, he was 100% in. So he loved it.
I greatly appreciate your time, and we'll talk again in the near future, all right?
Okay, thank you so much.
Appreciate Danielle Carter Walters joining us. It was a conversation I had with her yesterday afternoon, bringing that to you here for Illinois in Focus Daily Live. And don't forget to check back later on here for the Center Square. where we'll bring you the Center Square Daily, a look at some headlines from across the country. Today, we're going to be looking at possible fraud over in California. A lot of attention on Minneapolis and Minnesota. What's going on with your tax dollars in California? And so much more. So be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and be with us here for the Center Square Daily later on this afternoon, only with the Center Square.